TV soap news and spoilers say that in the opulent enclave of Fairmont Crest, where manicured lawns stretch like emerald carpets under the watchful eyes of wrought iron gates, life unfolds in a tapestry of privilege and pretense. Beyond the Gates, CBS's groundbreaking new daytime soap opera that premiered in February 2025, has captivated audiences with its unflinching portrayal of a multi-generational African-American family navigating the treacherous waters of wealth, betrayal, and buried truths. Created by the visionary Michelle Val-Jean, fresh from her storied tenure on The Bold and the Beautiful, this series marks the first predominantly black-led soap since Generations in the early 90s, a bold reclamation of the genre's dramatic legacy. Set against the backdrop of Washington, D.C.'s glittering suburbs, Beyond the Gates isn't just a soap, it's a seismic exploration of identity, inheritance, and the corrosive power of secrets that fester in the shadows of gated communities. At the heart of the show's most pulse-pounding storyline this fall pulses the McBride family, a pillar of Fairmont Crest whose facade of perfection is cracking under the weight of unimaginable loss. Doug McBride, the once-respected cardiologist whose steady hands saved countless lives at Garland Memorial Hospital, met a tragic end in a fiery car crash on a rain-slicked highway just months ago. His death wasn't merely an accident, it was the explosive culmination of a life unraveling thread by thread, ensnared in the twin vices of gambling addiction and shadowy debts. But as the ashes settle and the mourners disperse, a far more insidious question looms like a storm cloud over the McBride estate. What if the son Doug raised as his own isn't his blood at all? And what if Vanessa McBride, the poised real estate maven who built an empire on luxury listings and whispered deals, is the one clutching this detonator of a secret to her chest? Viewers, your hearts have been racing alongside the characters since Donnell McBride's dramatic return to Fairmont Crest in late September. The young man, portrayed with brooding intensity by newcomer Colby Muhammad, stepped off a flight from Paris, not the city of light he left behind as a wide-eyed student on a prestigious study abroad program, but a city now forever tainted by the urgent call that yanked him back to American soil. Donnell had been immersed in the Sorbonne's hallowed halls, debating philosophy and sketching the Seine's silvery bends, when the news hit like a thunderclap: his father was gone. Doug's funeral was a somber spectacle, a sea of black suits and veiled hats in the dripping rain, but Donnell's arrival was delayed by logistics and grief's heavy fog. By the time he crossed the threshold of the family home, a sprawling colonial revival with white columns that screamed old money, he was no longer the carefree college boy. He was a seeker, armed with questions sharper than any scalpel his father ever wielded. Picture it, the grand foyer of the McBride residence, where crystal chandeliers once twinkled like stars at holiday galas, now dimmed under the pall of bereavement. Vanessa, played with steely elegance by Lauren Buglioli, stood at the foot of the sweeping staircase, her designer-sheath dress hugging curves honed by Pilates and pilfered afternoons. Her eyes, usually sharp as a closing contract, were rimmed red from tears she dared not let fall in public. "Donnell," she whispered, pulling him into an embrace that smelled of Chanel No. 5 and desperation. But even as mother and son clung to each other, the air crackled with unspoken accusations. Why hadn't she called sooner? Why had the funeral invitations skipped his inbox? And why, in the weeks leading up to Doug's death, had Vanessa's once effusive texts dwindled to curt check-ins? Donnell's quest for truth begins not in the sterile glow of hospital records, but in the smoky underbelly of Fairmont Crest's hidden indulgences. Doug's gambling wasn't a whisper, it was a roar that had echoed through the corridors of Joey Armstrong's Lakeview Casino, a glittering den of vice masquerading as upscale entertainment on the outskirts of the city. Joey, the silver-tongued casino mogul brought to oily life by Timon Kyle Durrett, is the serpent in this garden of excess, a man whose charm is as lethal as the house edge he rigs in his favor. Doug had fallen hard into Joey's web months earlier, his poker nights stretching into dawn, his markers piling up like unpaid IOUs to the devil himself. What started as just one hand to unwind after grueling surgeries morphed into a voracious hunger, draining the McBride's joint accounts and forcing Doug to pawn family heirlooms. Vanessa knew, oh, how she knew. Late-night arguments that escalated into shattered vases, Doug's slurred apologies over the phone from the casino floor. But love, or what passed for it in their loveless union, had blinded her to the abyss. It was Joey whom Donnell cornered first, storming into the casino like a tempest in khakis and a rumpled button-down, the scent of airplane coffee still clinging to him. The interrogation unfolded in Joey's opulent office, a lair of mahogany paneling and leather armchairs that reeked of cigar smoke and conquests. "Tell me about my father," Donnell demanded, his voice a low growl that belied the tremor in his fists. Joey leaned back, swirling a tumbler of amber liquid, his smile a razor wire. "Doug was a gentleman at the tables, kid. Steady hand, until it wasn't." But Donnell pressed, his questions a barrage: the illicit loans, the high-stakes games that kept Doug out until the wee hours, the arrangement that Joey had allegedly struck to cover Doug's debts. Whispers from hospital staff, overheard by Donnell during his frantic drive from the airport, painted a picture of coercion, of Joey's enforcers tailing Doug like shadows, pressuring him into one final, fatal drive. The confrontation escalated into a verbal joust that had viewers on the edge of their sofas. Joey's feigned sympathy cracked just enough to reveal the predator beneath. "Your old man owed me, Donnell. Big time. But accidents happen, roads get slippery." Donnell's eyes narrowed, spotting the glint of gold on Joey's wrist, Doug's watch, the one Vanessa had inscribed for their 10th anniversary, a token of a marriage that had once burned bright before flickering into embers. "That's my father's," Donnell accused, lunging forward. Joey's laugh was a bark, deflecting with tales of lost bets and friendly loans, but the seed of doubt was planted. As Donnell stormed out into the neon-lit parking lot, the camera lingered on Joey's smirk, a promise of deeper machinations. Had Joey orchestrated the crash? Or was it simply the tragic intersection of addiction and asphalt? Yet, for all the fury directed at Joey, the true fulcrum of this drama swings back to Vanessa, and the volcanic secret she may be guarding with the ferocity of a lioness. In Beyond the Gates, Vanessa McBride is no mere grieving widow, she's a force of nature, a high-end realtor whose Rolodex brims with senators and CEOs, her luxury listings the envy of every social climber in Fairmont Crest. But beneath the power suits and pearl necklaces lies a woman fractured by her own appetites. Doug was her high school sweetheart, the golden boy whose steady gaze had once made her believe in forever. Their wedding was a fairy tale, lavish, laughter-filled, with vows exchanged under a canopy of magnolias. Twins followed soon after, Donnell and his sister Deanna, mirror images of their parents' blended features, the living proof of a union that, on paper, was perfection incarnate. But perfection, as Beyond the Gates so masterfully illustrates, is the grandest illusion. Doug's descent into gambling coincided with Vanessa's own unraveling, a loveless bed where passion had long since cooled to indifference. Lonely nights blurred into stolen afternoons, Vanessa seeking solace in the arms of others. First, there was Diego Sanchez, the chiseled fitness trainer at Fairmont Crest Country Club, whose sculpted abs and whispered endearments offered the thrill Doug's dice-rolling absences denied her. Their affair was a wildfire, consuming stolen hours in the club's sauna and her Mercedes back seat, but it was far from singular. Viewers caught glimpses in flashback montages, a dimly lit hotel bar where Vanessa locked eyes with a mysterious stranger, the postcoital glow she masked with extra makeup before family dinners. Her closest confidant, Dr. Nicole Dupree Richardson, Daphne Duplay, knows fragments, hushed confessions over mimosa brunches about needing to feel alive, but even Nicole suspects there's more, a skeleton rattling in the McBride closet that could topple empires. Now, imagine the cataclysm if Donnell isn't Doug's son. The timeline fits like a glove tailored for tragedy. Donnell's conception, whispered to occur during a rocky patch in the early days of Vanessa and Doug's marriage, when arguments flew like confetti and Doug buried himself in med school texts. What if, in a moment of reckless abandon, perhaps during one of those business trips to a real estate conference, Vanessa sought comfort elsewhere? The father could be anyone from her past, a charismatic client, a fleeting lover from her college days, or, in a twist that would send shockwaves through Fairmont Crest, someone entwined in the current web of deceit. Joey himself? The Casino King's easy familiarity with Vanessa, their chance meetings that Donnell eyes with suspicion. Could it be more than coincidence? Or Diego, whose resemblance to Donnell in build and intensity has fans buzzing on social media? The drama of this revelation would eclipse even Doug's death, transforming Donnell's grief into a maelstrom of identity crisis. He's not just mourning a father, he'd be unmoored from his very lineage, questioning every memory, every lesson Doug imparted, from tying a Windsor knot to the value of a steady heartbeat. Flashbacks could peel back the layers, a young Vanessa, radiant and uncertain, staring at a positive pregnancy test in the marble bathroom of their first apartment, her mind racing through a Rolodex of possibilities. Doug's joy at the ultrasound, oblivious to the shadow of doubt in her eyes. The twins' birth, a double blessing that papered over the cracks, at least until the gambling debts pried them apart. In recent episodes, the tension simmers like a pot on boil. On October 1st, Donnell confronted Vanessa in the sun-drenched kitchen, the same spot where family breakfasts once devolved into silences thicker than fog. "You kept his retirement from us, Mom. What else are you hiding?" he pressed, his voice cracking like fine china under pressure. Vanessa's confession tumbled out in fragments: Doug's addiction, the casino's siren call, the debts that mounted like storm clouds. But her eyes darted to the family photo on the fridge, Donnell at 10, gap-toothed and grinning beside Doug, and something unspoken hung in the air. She deflected with tears, pulling him close, but Donnell pulled away, his resolve hardening like steel in a forge. Joey's dance with Donnell continues to weave peril. In a chilling scene from October 3rd, the casino boss staged a farce, pretending to fire his sleazy dealer, Drake, to assuage Donnell's rage over the watch. "For your father," Joey intoned, all false piety, while Drake slunk away with a wink that screamed complicity. Donnell, no fool, saw through the theater, his frat brother's video tribute, a montage of Doug's highlights, from hospital heroics to Little League coaching, fueling his fire. "He taught me to spot a bluff," Donnell snarled, slamming the door on Joey's empire. But Joey's parting shot, murmured to his enforcer Marcel, chilled the spine. The kid's digging too deep. Like his old man. Vanessa's unraveling is the emotional core, a tour de force for Buglioli that has critics hailing her as the soap's breakout star. Her confession to Donnell about Joey wasn't just about debts, it was laced with regret, her voice breaking as she admitted the affair that started as harmless flirtation but bloomed into something that entangled Doug's fate. "I thought I was saving us," she wept, but the lie tasted bitter. Friends rally, Nicole offering sage counsel over wine, Danny Dupree, Carla Mosley, sharing tales of her own marital minefields, but concern mounts. On October 8's teaser, Vanessa spots new information that leaves her reeling: a hospital file? A DNA test stub? The possibilities swirl like leaves in a gale. As Beyond the Gates hurtles toward its fall cliffhanger, the question isn't if this paternity bomb detonates, it's how and when. Soap operas thrive on the slow burn, the exquisite torture of half-truths and near-misses. Donnell's investigation deepens, poring over Doug's financials in the attic, unearthing crumpled markers with Joey's scrawl, confronting Deanna, who's stayed at Banneker University, her therapy sessions a lifeline she extends tentatively via FaceTime. "Mom's always been complicated," Deanna admits, her own suspicions flickering like candlelight. Vanessa, meanwhile, teeters on confession's edge, her realtor's poise fracturing in solitary moments, staring at Donnell's baby album, fingers tracing features that suddenly seem foreign. The implications ripple outward, ensnaring Fairmont Crest's elite. The Duprees, with their own scandals of infidelity and hidden heirs, watch warily. Joey's casino, already under IRS scrutiny, could crumble if Donnell sues for wrongful death. And Doug's legacy? Tarnished forever, or redeemed in posthumous truth? Beyond the Gates masterfully mirrors real-world fractures, addiction's grip, the myth of the perfect family, the ache of unspoken heritage in Black communities where bloodlines carry the weight of history. We hope you enjoyed it and look forward to sharing more with you in the future. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe TV soap news and spoilers for more updates on Beyond the Gates.